Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Marta Monserrate. Apenas no tengo el negocio, pero sí me interesa una compañía de mantenimiento, y estamos en ese proceso con el favor de Dios.
¿Y tienes un nombre que estás pensando?
Sí, pues el nombre sería VIJ Clinic, los tres iniciales de los nombres de mis hijos.
Hmm,
Y estoy también en el proceso del logo. Estamos trabajando en eso también.
Nice. Marta shares that even her business hasn't officially been started yet, but her work is in maintenance. She has previously she's in commercial maintenance, and she dreams of opening the business with the initials of her kids, BJI Cleaning. ¿Verdad?
VIG
BAG. Okay,
Clinic. Yeah.
cleaning. Thank you, Marta. Siguiente veo Rolando. ¿Cómo estás, Rolando? Estás en mute, estás mudo.
Ya. Mi nombre es Rolando, soy de aquí de la ciudad de Rochester y estoy emprendiendo en el negocio de bienes raíces y construcción de casa, y tengo esta tarjeta bajo la compañía Rolling and White Construction, y por esta misma tarjeta que se la he dado a varias personas, estoy trabajando y haciendo algunos trabajos en estos momentos y me está yendo bien, y pienso servir a muchas personas y a la comunidad.
Nice. Rolando shares that in his business that he has launched, he was showing the business card and the name of his business there, and he's been using that already to get canes themselves. Gracias, Rolando. Next,
Gracias.
I see Mariceli Marte. Welcome. I think this is your first time here with us today.
Yes, it is.
Hmm.
Well, my name is Mariceli Malte, and I own a Christian center here at East Rochester at the Piano Works. And our approach is coaching considers the whole person and just helping them to enable and understand their strength, their development, and everything that includes anything that has to do with life. And we offer different services, individual coaching, group coaching, therapy, workshops, seminars, and retreats.
Nice, nice. Maricelis describe que tiene un centro cristiano donde se enfoca totalmente en los servicios completados de un humano, y ha estado abierto en la área este de Rochester. El siguiente veo Jackie Nieves. ¿Cómo estás?
Hola, mi nombre es Jacqueline Nieves. Estoy bien, ¿y ustedes? Estoy empezando en esto. Quisiera un restaurante. Nombre que pienso quizás ponerle Jackie's Kitchen. Se trataría de comidas puertorriqueñas, bandejas de fritura, catering, todo que tenga que ver con Puerto Rico.
Okay. Jackie aspires to open a Puerto Rican restaurant that has all sorts of dishes. And you said the name was Jackie's Kitchen. Jackie's Kitchen is a Aspire name for it. Next, I see Matt. Matt, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm good.
Can you hear us?
Did it freeze?
The aspiring name of your business, if you already have one, then share what it is, and then a few word adjectives for what describes your business.
So my aspiring name is The Palace on the Corner, and it's going to be a coffee shop cafe with farm to table food. I'm a cook right now. I love to cook. And then at nighttime, we are going to be a sober bar and LGBT community space.
Nice. Thank you, Matt. One more time in the name of the coffee shop / bar.
The Palace on the Corner.
Palace on the Corner. Okay. Palace on the Corner es el palacio en la esquina. Is an aspiring name for, es el nombre aspirado para la cafetería por el día, pero una barra por la noche. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Next, Kimberly Baucum. I was have to say your last name because I know there's another Kimberly here.
Oh. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my name is Kimberly Balcom, and I want to do a CNA/home health aide business. It's not started up right now, but basically I want to target the elderly population, the ones who can't get out the house, or their family members who are busy during the week, or people who are disabled who need services like grocery shopping, laundry, errands, appointments, personal care, cooking, things like in that nature. So like 70 and up.
So el negocio que Kimberly está empezando a abrir. And remind me the name of the business that you aspire to use.
I don't have a name right now.
Okay.
So that's all I'm still working on. But basically I would just, yeah.
Yep, no worries. Thank you. No tiene un nombre por ahora el negocio, pero la idea de poder cuidar gente que está a los 70 o más de edad y cuidarlos en su propio hogar. Next, Juan. ¿Cómo estás, Juan? Good seeing you.
Hello, hola. My name is Juan. I am a Buffalo-based photographer. I started my business around November of last year, and the purpose of the business is to actually help businesses, much like everyone else is here, develop content for their social media platforms for printing purposes, and to help promote your and help support your marketing.
Nice. What's the name of your business?
JCCV Photography LLC.
Nice. Now, can I ask you to say all that in Spanish?
¿Cómo no? Hola, mi gente. Mi nombre es Juan Carlos. Yo soy un fotógrafo de Búfalo y yo, parte de mi negocio es ayudar a gente como ustedes que está empezando un negocio o ya tienen un negocio, crear y ayudarlo a mantener un bueno, how do you say content in Spanish?
Puedes decir fotografía o contento que vas a escribir.
Con, fotografía que puedes usar para advertising. Avisos, no sé cómo se...
Anuncios.
Anuncios, muchas gracias.
Contenido para los anuncios.
Contenido para los anuncios, muchas gracias. Que sea o en la televisión o que sea para, específicamente más para las plataformas de sociales como Facebook, Instagram, todo.
I know who to turn to now here for Spanish help. Octavio and Fred. Good. Thank you, Juan. Next, I see Amy. How you doing, Amy?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
My name is Amy, and we are opening up Charlie's Canine Camp, which will be offering doggy daycare, boarding, training, and grooming with my business partner, Lauren.
Remind me the business name again? I know you say it every time, but
Charlie's Canine Camp.
that's right. Harley's Canine Camp. So ese es el nombre de la compañía que Amy y su asociada están abriendo. Es para cuidar, mantener y los animales, en particular los perros. Thank you, Amy. Xiomara, ¿cómo estás?
Hi, how are you guys? So I'm having a bad hair day. That's why I didn't have the camera on. But I'm creating an installation company, and the goal is to save the environment by cutting down on fossil fuels. I'm going to try to say this in Spanish. Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Xiomara. Estoy tratando de empezar un negocio de insulación.
Y que tiene contenidos verdes para cuidar el planeta.
Exactly. Yep.
Very important. Xiomara, el nombre de tu negocio, the name of your business?
Todavía no lo he empezado, pero quiero usar el nombre Green Mountain Insulators. So I haven't started, but my goal is to have the Green Mountain Insulators as the name.
Nice. Thank you, Xiomara. Next, I see Nelly.
Hello. So again, my name is Nellie, and I'm going into business with my cousin Jackie. I'm not sure if she's logged on yet. She's a principal, by the way, so she's probably, who knows. But anyways, currently I'm a social worker, but together we're trying to come up with an idea of starting up our own bar lounge, and the name would be called the Beer Box. And reason being is because we plan on serving appetizers in these wooden boxes. If that makes any sense, and putting the title of the restaurant on there, on the wooden boxes.
I like it. Compañía beer boxes. So is it a bar that you're looking to open, a full restaurant from bar? How does that work? How do you picture it?
So a bar / lounge, but with just appetizers. And then the reason why, actually Jackie's the one that came up with the name, the Beer Box. So we're originally from Honduras, and there's a restaurant that she's been to down there, so we'd be copying that name, but there's no beer boxes around here. But anyways, in this restaurant, they serve the food in these wooden boxes, like almost like little crates. And so I love that idea. And so yeah, appetizers and beer. Well, any type of alcohol, I should say.
Got it. Nice. So la compañía Beer Box es aspirada por un restaurante, una barra en el país de Honduras, donde la comida de mano se pone en cajitas hecho de cajas de madera.
De madera, cajas de madera.
Yep, incluyendo cualquier bebida de alcohol incluida en eso. Oh, next time, Nelly, I'm having you interpret that.
That's fine. Está bien.
I think I see next Melissa.
Hi, everyone. Sorry for the noise in the background. My name is Melissa, and I don't have a business name yet, but my business idea is to provide accounting services to help small businesses and owners and individuals. Hola, me llamo Melissa. Todavía no tengo negocio, pero mi idea de negocio es servicios de contabilidad para ayudar a las personas y las pequeñas empresas.
And good job doing it in both languages. You want to attract both customers here. They're all right here for you.
Thank you.
Next is Sherelle. Sure, if you're in earshot, do you mind sharing the Aspire name for your business and a few adjectives about what you do? Oh, that's okay. We'll move on. Hey, Lauren.
Hi there. I'm Lauren. My business partner is Amy, and we are opening Charlie's Canine Camp, where we will be offering dog daycare, grooming, boarding, and training.
Nice. Lauren es asociada con Amy y los que van a abrir Charlie's Canine Camp son los que van a poder cuidar, mantener y hasta traer sus perros en este campo. Next, I see Jesslyn Cruz. Jesslyn, can you hear us? Jesslyn Cruz.
She's mute.
Yeah, Jesslyn, if you can hear us, you're probably on mute. Otherwise, I'll skip to the next box. Fred, ¿cómo está, Fred?
Saludos, buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Fred, puertorriqueño. No tengo negocio todavía, ni nombre, ¿verdad? Porque estoy tratando de organizarme a ver cómo lo voy a hacer. Pero mi enfoque es una pizzería, un tono diferente, ya que el producto sería en Cono Pizza.
Cono Pizza, that's right. So Fred is looking to launch his own business. He doesn't have a name for the business just yet. No hay nombre para el negocio aún.
No, todavía no tengo, no sé, ¿verdad? Cómo ponerlo atractivo que te den ganas de averiguar.
Sí. Yeah, no problema. So Fred wants to start a pizzeria that's done cone like just like an ice cream cone. Thank you, Fred. Hey, Jesslyn, I think I see you on meeting.
Ahora. Buenas tardes a toditos.
Buenas tardes.
Sí, todavía no tengo negocio. Tengo la idea. Quiero que mi negocio sea de donas en Puerto Rico. Muchos que están aquí puertorriqueños pueden tener una idea de lo que quiero, de cuál va a ser mi proyecto. Cuando vamos al supermercado en Puerto Rico, vemos un carrito en la parte de afuera con unas donas pequeñitas que son muy deliciosas, y tengo aquí, no lo he visto y me gustaría implementar esa idea aquí. Se llamaría Donuts Sweet and Treats. Y pues no solamente sería la dona como comúnmente la vemos en Puerto Rico, con un poquito de azúcar en polvo o canela, sino que implementar algunas cosas un poquito diferentes, pero utilizando las donas.
Nice. Thank you, Jesselyn. I'm sure you've all heard donuts mentioned 10 times in there, so you know exactly what Jesselyn is selling. But these are they're inspired by ways that are being done and sold in the island of Puerto Rico. Thank you, Jesselyn. Next, I have Gilo. Gilo, can you hear us?
He's muted.
So I'm kind of on the bus, so I'm gonna have to whisper. Can you guys hear me?
Okay. Hey, Gilo. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so my signal is bad, I guess, because you guys are freezing on my end. But I'm gonna try to keep it short because I'm on the bus and I don't want to shout too loud. But
Okay.
the business name, I'm pretty much the business partner in this business. But the business name is Ibero-American. It's a clothing line, a clothing brand, pretty much. And what makes us, I guess, what were the questions again? I gotta say some words.
Adjectives that describe what you do.
Okay, adjectives that describe what we do. We're open to all creative ideas, pretty much, on what looks good on a shirt or what look good on any outfit that somebody would wear. And then we're also open, we also have an open mind for the models that we normally work with to see what type of photo shoot would they be then an indoor shoot, an outdoor shoot, and what type of creative idea would go with frame what we're trying to showcase within the clothing brand. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Thank you, Gilo. Gilo es un asociado de una compañía. Can you remind me again the name of the business?
Ibero-American.
Ibero-American?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So Ibero-American es una compañía donde se vende ropa diseñada específica por ellos. Thank you, Gilo. Next, I have Brenda Rivera.
Hola, saludos, buenas tardes a todos. Actualmente pues yo tengo mi negocio que manejo a nivel de, ¿cómo se dice? Online. Okay. Básicamente nos dedicamos a financial consulting a las personas para ayudarlos a build personal credit and business also. Pero entonces tomé la decisión en memoria de mi hermana y mi abuela empezar un negocio de housekeeping y commercial. Y dentro de lo que quiero hacer es integrar un programa de ayudar a las personas que tengan alguna condición médica como cáncer, que fue el caso de mi hermana, o alguna condición médica en la cual le podamos proveer la ayuda necesaria dentro de su proceso.
Y Brenda, cada vez que hablas siempre me explicas que tienes como varias ideas de negocio. ¿Cuál es la que te estás enfocando en esta temporada de tu vida?
Bueno, actualmente la que yo estoy trabajando como independent contractor, me dedico a orientar a las personas, básicamente trabajo los dos, tanto las personas que hablan inglés, pero me enfoco más en las personas latinas porque tienen muy poco conocimiento en el área pues de lo que ya sea crédito personal o crédito para negocio, además de otros servicios que nosotros trabajamos, que no voy a entrar en detalle para no quitarles mucho tiempo. Pero quise empezar, quiero empezar pues una compañía de housekeeping por las razones que te indiqué, en memoria de mi hermana y mi abuela.
Ok. Sí. So, thank you, Brenda. ¿Y tienes nombre para el negocio aún?
Nombre para el negocio, tengo una idea, lo voy a combinar con mi nombre, que es Brenda Zenaida, por eso en la página ves Brisen, es combinación de mi name, middle name,
pero estoy buscando a ver cómo terminar. Que es algo más original.
Okay. Brenda.
All right.
Brenda is looking to open a maintenance company, cleaning service company, and she's trying to combine her first and middle name to do so, but still looking for a way to how to close it. Thank you so much. Imani? Imani, if you can hear us. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Hi. My name is Imani. I am trying to open a health and wellness center. And I do have a name already for it. It's called Luna's Love.
Luna's
Love.
Luna's Love, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Imani está buscando abrir una compañía para gente que están buscando con ayudarse en su propia salud y se llama Luna's Love. Siguiente es María. María Cartagena.
Buenas tardes a todos. Mi idea de negocio es un custom made gift shop y todavía estamos en la etapa de formación del negocio.
Ok. ¿Tienes nombre?
Tengo pensado ya, pero todavía como estamos en la etapa de formación, pues todavía estamos sujetos a cambio.
Ok, está bien. Entonces, personal gift shop o un event shop.
Es un custom made gift shop. Sería trayendo la idea de cosas customizadas como cristales, piedras, camisas, diferentes artículos que puedan ser customizados.
Okay, that's nice. Sounds neat. So the name of the company's custom gift shop, and it allows to have jewelry and all sorts of clothing that are customized by the customer. So it's designed by them. Next, I have Edna.
Good evening. I am starting a business with my daughter called Simple Pleasures, and we are offering a variety of specialized or customized gift baskets, as well as simple treats and charcuterie boards and gift boxes that also offer different things. Whatever it is that the customer is interested in, we will customize those. And we're already into doing some selling. So Jalen's pretty good at advertising and getting the website set up. So I leave a lot of that up to her.
Wait, Mama, one more time, the name of the business?
Simple Pleasures.
Simple Pleasures. And we could just go to Facebook right now and find you guys.
Facebook Marketplace.
Facebook Marketplace. Okay.
Yes.
Nice. Simple Pleasures es la compañía que Edna y su hija están tratando de formar, ya están vendiendo y la idea es que pueden customizar sus postres que estén buscando. Thank you, Edna. Next, I have Grace.
Hi, I'm starting a mentor program for girls and women 8 to 35, and some of the components are youth justice, intentional parenting, and youth development.
Nice. Thank you, Grace. Grace está buscando abrir una compañía de mentors que está para poder ayudar jóvenes. Who specifically is your target audience, Grace?
Yes, so it's based on my 6 components, but it's young girls who specifically deal with unhealthy family dynamics and domestic violence.
Okay. Thank you, Grace. Es para jóvenes, mujeres que han estado en situaciones bien difíciles en sus propios hogares. Thank you, Grace. And next, I see Jaylene Abrahams. I think you just joined us. Hello. Jaylene, can you hear us? If not, then we'll get going. So let me introduce our speaker for today. Déjame introducir el que va a hablar hoy. This actually, I just saw Danny who came in, so thank goodness Danny is home safe and here to interpret. Voy a añadir ahora bien rapidito a nuestra intérprete en el grupo de español. Así que los que hablan español ya pueden brincar a su cuarto. For those who speak Spanish, we are able to jump into your room. If it lets me. Oh, Danny, you had just changed your name. Okay, so ya tenemos los cuartos abiertos hacia abajo. So all those who need Spanish, remember to look down at the bottom to be able to switch to Spanish so that you can hear Danny interpret. Y Danny, are we good to go? Yep. Good. Thank you, Danny. Okay, so then let me introduce our speaker for today. I wanna welcome our friend Christy.
Hi, everyone.
She is a big champion of Ibero Business Center. Her vision as an entrepreneur herself has aligned quite nicely with what we do here. So without further ado, I'm gonna have her introduce herself while I pull up the slides.
Sounds good, Augustine. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Christy Gonzalez. I'm the founder and CEO of Integrate Express, which is a integrating implementation software platform specialist, which means I network and work with many organizations in the Rochester area. I am a senior accountant with Robert Half. My business has been open. We're going on our second year now. Happy to say we're expanding. Ibero is one of my partners, and this class is just something that I value as a teacher, educator, mentor, especially for entrepreneurs. So thank you for having me. So I see that we have our slides up, and I heard all about what companies you want to open, which I think it's amazing. Congratulations. And as you all know or are about to know, you need 5 things as you move forward, and it's called someone to bail you out. B, you need a banker. A, you need an accountant. I, you need an insurance broker to cover you, right? And you need a lawyer. So I don't want anyone to get nervous with accounting. We're going to be talking about bookkeeping versus accounting, the importance of tracking your expenses and your revenue, how to forecast as you move along with your canvas. I'm going to introduce you to some accounting wording like ARAP, and then we're going to wrap this session up with understanding financial statements. I know that seems a lot, but trust me when I say by the time we're done here, you're going to feel very good about managing your own books, or at least knowing what to look for when you hire someone else. All right, so any questions before we start?
Just remember to keep it slow.
Gotcha. All right, so this is just a high level of what we're going to be reviewing. Next slide. So basically, as I mentioned, the bail concept, entrepreneurs need to understand the importance of basic bookkeeping because it's vital to your company. Next. I decided to make a slide to visually show you the difference between an accountant and a bookkeeper. As you can see, bookkeeping is a very short process. You work on your entries, your reconciliations, invoicing, and paying bills. And then the next slide is going to show you what accounting covers. Now, as you can see, accounting covers more of a bigger range, from reports, payroll, tax prep, and just strategizing your next move as an entrepreneur. Next. Okay. So the reason why it's important to track your expenses is because when you open your business, you're going to want to know and be ready for these expenses that are going to hit your way. You want to be able to know that every year you have to pay a license. I'm giving you an example. You're going to have to know how much it's going to cost to, open that location, pay light. So, I mean, we do this in our everyday lives, but when you become an entrepreneur and you actually open your business, this is a key concept that everyone needs to, be able to track their expenses, because this is how you're going to forecast in the future on what to expect. As you can see, this is going to be tied to creating your budget forecast. This is going to help your investors, understand what your goals are and see if they want to invest with you. And, this is what you need for your canvas. A budget forecast shows how much money your business plans to spend over a specific time period. Does anybody have any questions on, understanding about tracking revenue and tracking expenses? No. Okay, everyone's so excited. All right. Next one.
Wait, I have a question.
Okay.
So if you're trying to track that information, and let's say you don't, like me, I'm starting off, you don't have it in the beginning, can you do like estimates, and can an accountant do that for you? Can I pay somebody else to do this for me, or I have to do it?
Okay, Ziobara. So the next slide, I'm going to show you how you could track it in Excel, and it is estimates. So before you start, you're going to do guesstimates, right? You're going to do your research. You're going to say, well, I think this equipment from my research is $500. You're going to start line item, like just start putting down expenses. I understand that this Excel file might be a little bit confusing, but this is more on a monthly, like how much you spent in January, February, March. But you could do this in the other slide. Let's just simplify it a little bit more. Augustine, can you bring it down to just writing this down? It's the next slide. I mean, there might be people here that like Excel, and there might be people here that are like, just give me a pen and paper. So to answer your questions, Mara, you could pay someone to do this, but they're not going to know how to do this because only you know what your expenses are. All right, so I'm going to go back to this slide. It's pretty simplified. You need to monitor your expenses. You want to say, this is how much my truck cost me this month, my gas. I think it's the other slide, Augustine. Yep. All right, Juan, raise the hand.
So in regards to tracking your expenses, should you keep two separate, I don't know if the right terminology is books, but do you keep fixed expenses separate from variable expenses, or do they all go under the exact same list, I guess you can say?
Well, you're definitely talking about more in depth, but for just tracking expenses, you could put it all in one place. When you get to your canvas and your workshop, you're going to be estimating. So it's going to become a variable anyways. When it's fixed, it's because you're 100% sure you know this is what it costs.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, maybe I'm the only one that does this, but I kind of write down what my light bill was so I can stay on top of my, you know, my expenses. So as an entrepreneur, you're going to have to own and see where you could cut costs. And remember, your investors, they're going to want to see what you're spending. They're going to want to see how you made a profit. So I'm not going to jump ahead, but I wanted to make sure that you guys see that it's as simple as writing down your months in the top, your expenses on the left, and just month by month, start paying attention to how much money you're spending. Any questions before we move on?
Sí, yo tengo una pregunta.
Okay, está bien.
Pero ¿cómo para una persona que por primera vez que quiere un negocio, cómo uno puede enseñar un libro de gastos si nunca he tenido una experiencia de negocio?
Was I crying? Was I being silly? Happy or sad?
Happy.
Oh,
Lucy, did you hear Jacqueline's question?
Sorry about that, Jacqueline. I did. I just, there was a baby. So Jacqueline, no necesita a tener los números exactos ahora mismo, pero tú puedes hacer research. How do you say that? You could research what things might cost.
Pero ella lo que explica es que aunque estés adivinando en tus pronósticos, tienes que hacer la mejor adivinación posible con lo que tienes ahora mismo.
Okay.
Una estimación.
And with research, everyone here could get an estimate. You could call a competitor.
Okay.
Start finding out what it will cost to rent that salon chair. Depending what your industry is. I hope that helps.
And to clarify, Jacqueline, can you hear Danny interpreting?
Sí.
Okay. Yeah.
Gracias.
De nada. So the next slide, accounts receivable and accounts payable are just accounting terms, but I don't want you to focus on the terms. As an entrepreneur, you're going to look at this as transactions. Money coming in, money coming out. So that's why I decided to put these pictures here, green and red. Sales should be recorded as an accounts receivable. And then, you know, your disbursement, what you pay people when you're paying out, is considered a disbursement, which is called an accounts payable. The reason why it's important to understand this is because you're going to be learning about financial statements. And I don't want you to be lost once we come to that slide. Does everybody understand money in, money out? Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit more about AR, AP. As you're going to see, I created a lot of cheat sheets for you because I want you to have this. So in the future, if someone's talking to you about invoices or, you know, you need to record, you know, like someone owes you money, at least you know what AP and AR is. So accounts receivable, let's put it in a position where you have a customer and you're going to make an invoice, you're going to bill them. So right away, AR is considered a record of you're going to receive that money. When you get that money back, it's considered AR. And then AP is when a vendor, it's like RG&E, is billing you. So now it becomes accounts payable. That means you got to pay someone. So, both of these terms play a huge part in your cash flow and balance sheet, which are financial statements we're going to talk about later. But I want to make sure that everyone here understands what the terms are, AR and AP. Is there any questions?
Yes. Just so we're clear, might be again jumping ahead, but for accounts payable, could that include debt? Does debt fall on that? Is that short-term, long-term debt? Is there different?
Juan, you're going to be an accountant. No, I'm just kidding. So you're jumping ahead in the sense that later on, AP becomes a liability and you get to split it off short-term or long-term. But for the class sake of trying to stay them on board, we're going to keep it where accounts payable is what you owe vendors. So if Juan supplies your ink, that's your vendor, you owe him money, it becomes your accounts payable. So whenever this gets confusing, go back to slide 9 and just remember the green and the red of what's coming in and out of your business.
Does Excel have do that for you, like a template for accounts receivable and payable?
No. So
Okay.
accounts receivable and accounts payable is mostly in softwares. But let's say you don't get an accounting software, which in day 2, we're going to learn about softwares. You could track what people owe you. You could track money that's owed to you. That's AR. And what you owe is AP. So you could track it in Excel. It's harder to maintain it. You have to be on top of it.
Okay.
All right, guys, I'm going to move to the next one. So now that you have a basic understanding of AR, people who owe you money, AP, people you owe them money, vendors usually, it's very important to maintain records, okay? When you become an entrepreneur, it's not like saying, I forgot my, I forgot who I owed. You could be in a lot of trouble. When you own your own business, you're responsible for keeping track. The IRS could come to you and audit you. So you have to keep track of record. You see in the bottom, it says your tax liabilities, all that. You have to monitor every income and every expense when you become a business owner. And to help alleviate any anxiety you might be feeling, anyone here, this ensures that your customers are actually paying you. So understanding the concept of transactions is vital to your company and how to maintain it and how to grow it. Any questions before we jump to financial statements? Okay, next slide. Okay, so here's another cheat sheet. I was trying to think outside the box on how I can make this easy to understand. I've been doing accounting for over 15 years and know professionals that still don't understand statements. So with that said, this cheat sheet is going to be great for you as you move forward, so you understand why it's needed in the first place. These are the 3 most important financial statements. I'm pretty sure you don't want me to read it for you, but if you, the next slide is going to go more in depth where I'm going to be able to talk about it better. All right, your income statement. You know, this is where, you know, you see if, you know, what you're selling, it could be your goods and service. Is it profit or not? You know, this is what a lot of, you know, investors want to see, your P&L. They want to see what if it costs more to produce. Your balance sheet, what like Juan asked earlier, it shows your assets and your liabilities. We're going to go more in depth later on these financial statements. Don't worry. And then the cash flow statement, which is my favorite, shows how much money your company actually has. This is how you maintain and run your business. This is the most misconcepted, misunderstood statement there can be. And I'll go more in depth as we follow along on each financial statement. Like you guys already know, I love my cheat sheets. And this is the lingo that will be interpreted on the next review of an income statement. Net income, gross profit, operating income. Any questions before you see what it looks like? That's great, Amy. Thank you.
Can I say a question?
Sure.
So if you don't mind going back to the previous slide. For operating income, is that, and just to be sure, that's taking it's taking gross, what was it, gross profit, or I couldn't write it down. Was it gross profit or net income for operating income?
So your operating income, depending on the industry and how you're set up, it's your gross profit minus your operating expenses.
Okay, so not net.
No, your net is your revenue minus your expenses. So the misconception is, I got $100, I spend 40, and I have $60 in profit. That's incorrect. What about your overhead costs? What about, you know, it goes deeper, which you'll see now in the income statement.
Gotcha.
No one get alarmed. This is so you know what it looks like. I'm not going to dive in here deep. You're going to be able to see, you know, the revenue on the top, your expenses on the bottom, and what your net income is. We're going to be using Greg's design and landscaping as part of our engagement. If you see, he had an income of $10,200.77 after his operating expenses, insurance, advertising, everything. He only came, his net income is $17.77.81. When it's time for Q&A, I'm more than happy to combine all of these and review it with you. This is just so you guys can see what an income statement looks like. Any questions moving forward? All right, this is for you, Juan. So this is a cheat sheet for the intro to the balance sheet. Remember, the balance sheet is another financial statement. It's about understanding your net value of your business. You want to know what your net worth of your company is. This right here is what your investors are looking at. Your assets, what you own, your liabilities on who you owe. Your equity is literally your net worth. How much money am I willing to give this company? What is their worth? What is their net value? And you see all of this on the balance sheet. So we're going to go see Craig's balance sheet on the next slide. All right. When you track your expenses correctly, and when you track your revenue, this is the statement it forms. Your bank account is an asset because that's your cash. Your inventory that you own is an asset because it has value. And then you have your liabilities. Your AP, you owe someone. It's a liability. Your long-term liabilities are considered, it could be a lot of things, but I'll give you an example. It could be a loan from a bank, long-term. You owe the bank for the next 5 years. So, yep. Any questions on cash flow? I mean, not cash flow, we're moving too fast. Balance sheet.
I got another one, sure. When it comes to inventory, is that inventory, is that equipment that you use, or is that stuff you sell? So what exactly counts as inventory, basically, is my question.
Oh, I love the questions. So inventory could be classified as an asset or a liability. It's an asset when you own the lawnmower. It's worth $500, let's just say. It's an asset, you own it. Now let's say you're renting the equipment. Becomes a liability because you're paying someone else, you owe money to it. Does that help answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, moving along. Hope everybody's still awake. All right.
Matt has a question.
Sorry, I was just wondering, say you took out a ginormous loan to get your equipment, what does that make it?
A liability. And
Okay.
depending how long is the loan and how much, it will be between a short-term liability, because you might be able to pay it in 5 months, 6 months, versus a long-term, which will be years.
Got it.
All right. I know it's a lot to take in, but as you guys grow, I promise you, you're going to appreciate understanding these statements. All right. So the last financial statement that we're going to cover, and then we're going to do a knowledge check, is going to be the cash flow statement. I mentioned this before. I have met many business owners who are not paying attention to this statement. Has anybody here ever got a check from an employer and it bounced? No, I'm the only one that had a bad check.
I have.
Yeah, it's common. It's very common. Do not get in the habit of checking your bank account and saying, I have $20,000, I'm fine. Your cash flow statement is going to help you not make a mistake. When you cut checks out, it doesn't mean that the people cash it right away. So that's why I left this statement as the last one. As you can see, I wrote the cash flow statement connects to the income statements and to the balance sheet. This is your bread and butter right here as an entrepreneur. All right. Now the next slide. All right, going with Greg. If you're tracking your expenses correctly and tracking your revenue correctly, again, you could do it in Excel. You could do it with a software. You want to know where your net income went. You want to know if you have money, enough money to start that big project. I want to spend $2,000 on marketing. Do I have it? Your cash flow statement will help you make that decision. This shows all revenue income streams as well. So just keep that in mind. As you can see, your AR is in there, your AP's in there, your equity is in there. And this is what keeps the business running. Any questions before a knowledge check? Or did everybody fall asleep on me?
Are all those statements like yearly, monthly, weekly, or do you pick which, like how often you do them?
Great question. So if you have an accounting software, which we'll cover on the next class, you could pick out your specific time period. So I'm going to give you examples. I want to know how well my company did last month. You could adjust it to that month. You want to know last quarter, who made the biggest sale? Who's your biggest client? You could adjust as well. When you are doing your taxes, you could pull the information for 1 year. So as a business owner, you could do this whenever you want. It's really, who are you giving it to is the question.
So for instance, if it's an installation company and I have to do invoices where they don't pay them for 3 months out, how far back should I keep the records? Like 5 years?
Oh,
I need them.
That's a perfect question. By law, depending on your industry, you need to have 5 to 7 years of history.
Oh, okay.
And one thing is, you never throw anything away. You could box it up, but don't throw it away.
Okay.
You never know when they come knocking.
Okay.
So I want you guys to know that, accounting could feel, like a lot, but when you're a business owner, even when you hire someone, you're going to want to know what you're looking at. So just keep that in mind. Save these slides. They're very important, and be knowledgeable. You can't trust, you should trust your accountant. Let me start there. But you got to protect what's yours. You got to protect because ultimately, even if you hire an accountant, the business owner will get the first hit. All right. Now let's check.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Hola, hola, saludos. Luis Sierra por acá, estoy manejando, disculpa que haya llegado tarde, me conecté desde el teléfono y gracias, voy a ver si los veo rapidito en la casa.
Está bien, Luis.
Gracias, por favor, bien.
All right, who wants to answer the first question, which is the next slide? Please be my guest. Make me proud. Which financial statement enables you to determine a company's net worth?
I'm guessing income statement.
No, your income statement
Just kidding.
is your no, well, listen, I mean, there's a cheat sheet. You guys could like, oh wait, you can't scroll through here. Sorry about that. I'm here telling you guys to cheat. Don't cheat. You got this. Income statement, profit and loss. So it's the balance sheet.
Yep.
Juan, you
That's
should
what I
know
meant.
this. Okay, 1 point for Ziramara. I know we have an accountant here, 2 financial people. Come on, guys. The next one. All right, how about this one, guys? I mean, this is the one that I was very passionate about. My Puerto Rican came out. Did you see it?
El cash flow.
Cash flow.
Yay. I'm so happy. You need to know what you could cover. And your cash flow statement is your heartbeat. All right, last one. Which financial statement shows whether you're losing money or accumulating money?
So that's income statement. Is that the one?
Sure is. Whoop, whoop. Go Juan. Go Juan. Okay. That's it for day 1. I know it's a lot of information. And in day 2, I'm going to show you how easy it is to track it with a software. All right. No Q&A. We're good. Q&A means questions.
I do have a question.
Mhm.
I got plenty. So I don't know if this is necessarily the same. I have done a little bit of research, but in regards to inventory, how does depreciation work exactly? Because I know that as long as you keep an item, it doesn't matter if you own it and it's something you use for your services or you sell it or the product you sell, does it all technically lose value over time, or does the equipment you use for your services depreciate, but the product you sell, so long as it doesn't, let's say it's food, it doesn't expire, does it maintain the same value? Like how does that work?
All right. Juan, you are going to get blown away here, and everyone stay with me. Augustine, I'm going to try to talk slow. Inventory is when you buy, I'm going to say equipment. When you buy equipment and you put it in your books, okay? Which I'm going to go more in depth if you really need to, but it's going to be hard to say this. But I bought can someone tell me an equipment? I don't know.
A camera.
RX3. A camera, perfect. Well, I don't think you could dispense that. And so let me start here. You need to have a tax accountant, a tax advisor to help you set up your coding and your tax bracket, especially for inventory, because there's different industries, okay? I could research for you really quick, but I'm not 100% sure you could depreciate a camera, but you can a projector, but you can a bulldozer, you can a software. I mean, you would have not thought a software could be depreciated, but it can. So let me reel this back a bit. Inventory, you put the price you bought it at, and then in another software, another tracking system, Excel, you could start depreciating the value by how much time you have it. And then you have to adjust your books to show that you're losing money on this equipment inventory sitting. Juan, we're about to scare a lot of people, so let's stop there. But if you and me want to do one-on-one, I'm more than happy to do consultations with you.
Appreciate it.
Welcome. Inventory is fun. Not you need an accountant to do that for you. That's
So would you suggest making, let's say, a list of all of your inventory or materials you would need, and then basically either bringing them to accounting or doing a research on what, like which one depreciates and which one doesn't, so you know, kind of like how to purchase?
right. So when I started this conversation and I said the first 5, the bail, when you get your accountant, they're going to ask you what's your industry, and they're going to talk about inventory. Then you're going to give them the spreadsheet, and they're going to talk about laws and tax brackets.
So you would suggest doing that before buying the equipment, like if you have it, so that you know.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
So you lose value on things you own, and you have to keep track of that so you could tax it out in the end of the year. So to keep it, at a good level, track your expenses. I bought a machine, but your accountant is going to tell you how to code it.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I could talk about inventory all day long. It's fun. Let's just put it like that. So there's a lot of industries here. Is there no more questions about tracking your expenses and your revenue?
Does software counts as inventory? Okay, that's interesting. Okay, good to know.
Depending on your software. So, my God, we're going to go into software now. It depends on your software. Some software, it could be depreciated in 3 years, and some 5, depending on the value of your software.
For all the food companies on here, are they, would food be under that? Inventory?
Yes, it will be under inventory, but not in a larger scale where you're depreciating.
Okay.
So
Good questions, Sumata, because I was thinking the same thing, like as far as food, alcohol, paper products, things like that.
So inventory, it depends if you want to keep count and itemize each thing in your cabinet, right? So some companies who own businesses, they do keep track of their inventory inside of their accounting software. Some other companies just make sure it hits an expense. So I'm going to give you an example so we don't complicate inventory. Inventory, an accountant is going to tell you to do it or don't do it. Let's just leave that subject there. If you go to Wegmans and you itemize meat, you would track that under an item called meat in your inventory, or you could expense it to meals and get a tax cut there.
This is 101, cooking your books.
Well, hire a tax accountant.
Are you available?
I am not a tax accountant.
Damn it.
All right, guys. Oh,
But next week, we will have a tax accounting company.
What's the rate?
But Christy, you're not saying that every small business owner needs a tax accountant. They need someone that can help guide them through their specific questions. Is that what you're saying?
so yes, you don't need to hire a tax accountant, but I advise to hire one so you're properly structured and coded for expenses. And there are the professionals who are going to be able to say your industry needs to file quarterly. An advisor won't be able to tell you that. A bookkeeper won't be able to tell you that. Only a tax accountant, someone who understands your industry and structure, will handle certain compliance. So I strongly say, speak to a tax accountant, a tax advisor, before you start trying to tax it yourself.
Can you speak to one like before that would, so let's say I went to an accountant, instead of charging me to be my accountant, do accountants have something where you can like meet with them, basically like give them all the info, have them kind of give you a guideline, but you're not like hiring them like on a monthly service kind of thing? Like, I don't, maybe like a workshop, I don't know, or like lawyers give like, hey, you come in and tell them your issue and they'll tell you, kind of give you an estimate. Can you do that like with an accountant? Is that a service typically offered, or you have to like pay for the services and use them for X amount of time?
Augustine is going to be able to help out with this. There's a lot of resources, meaning especially with this program, you're going to have a tax accountant come in. So, and after this program, there's other free services and consultations that you could ask all these questions and they could guide you. But usually it's a service you pay for. So this is a great program.
Okay.
Okay, if we don't have more questions, I'd like to thank Christy for an excellent presentation. Please, guys, remember to leave a comment for the teacher tonight. We're gonna take 5 minutes break and we'll come back.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you,
Excellent, Christy. Thank you very much.
This was great.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Good luck.
Bye,
See you
Christy.
next week.
Okay, we'll be back in 5 minutes.
Okay, now we're welcoming everyone back. Estamos invitando a todos a que regresen.
As I mentioned, maternal mortality has been bad in America for quite a few years, but got really bad during the pandemic. What is it that stood out to you in this? As you said, what we know is that too many women die from pregnancy.
So how's everyone feeling? I know that we started jumping a little more technical questions today, and will lead us into more of the breakdown in the business model canvas. So let me pull it up for you.
The first thing I want to share, well, as a reminder, Christie's information is on the Google site and will be up there. All you have to do is scroll through the site down to, I think it's on the very first page, isn't it, Augustine, when you go right to the site?
It's on the schedule.
It's under schedule. So if you just click on the word schedule, there's not the drop down goes to other things, but if you just click on schedule, you can scroll down and see everything Augustine is pulling up right now. I am going to type something in the box in chat real quick that I just want to share. Okay. 1 second. PULS. Okay, I am, I'm going to share a name of a book that I learned about a year ago called Accounting for the Number Phobic, a survival guide for small business owners. It's by Dawn Fotopoulos. So I'm going to put this, I have it typed in here. I just want to tell you about this book. So I've been working with entrepreneurs for many years, and everything that Christy just talked about, this was one of the most simplistic ways that I've heard anybody explain it lately. Like she introduced the income statement, the balance sheet, the cash flow, and for any of you that are presently in business and maybe working with these, you can appreciate what somebody new to it may be learning. But I'm telling you, this book, I highly recommend this book. I bought it used on Amazon. I rarely to never shop online. As soon as I heard about it, I went right online and I found it used. I think I got a copy for like $4. It's worth every single penny if you are a small business owner trying to understand the financial part of your business. So it's not a great name for a book, Accounting for the Number Phobic, but the woman who wrote it, she has had several small businesses and she's an accountant, and she explains it so clearly that I'm telling you, it's worth your time. You don't have to get through the whole book, but you really need to get up to like page 25, because by page 25, she's telling you about pricing and talking. I just want to talk a little bit about what she talks about because it relates to what we're going to talk about revenue streams, the revenue stream block in your business model canvas. But, you know, one of the questions on the revenue stream is how much does each revenue stream contribute to the overall money that you're making, your revenue? Like, how does, if you're selling sunglasses, if you're selling t-shirts, you know, whatever, each item is bringing a different amount of money in. But what she talks about is you must know the cost of goods sold. You must, and this relates to what you're going to work on tonight. So what she teaches us is if you must know the cost of your goods sold. So they will write this in capital letters, COGS, cost of goods sold. But when you know the cost of your goods sold, if you're selling sunglasses, well, let's go with the t-shirt. You've bought a t-shirt that you're gonna resell. You're gonna put whatever logo on there that you want. So you're gonna print it. It's gonna cost, the t-shirt has a cost, the printing has a cost. If you're gonna ship it somewhere, that has a cost. Maybe somebody's gonna pay for shipping, but let's just say the cost for you to make it, you hired somebody, so it's your labor and your direct costs to make this shirt work, including the labor. Let's just say it's gonna cost $5. That's a low amount. But she's telling us once you know it's $5, you can start looking at your pricing and say, her recommendation, she says, the rule of thumb for pricing, think about this, any of you that are already selling things, the rule of thumb recommended is that you know your cost of goods sold, and then you add 45%. So you're going to add a 45% premium. If you do the math on $5, it adds another $2.50. So you can sell your t-shirt for $7.50, and you'll be at this 45%, which helps you cover the insurance, the marketing, your overhead expenses, everything else that costs you money. So we're going to take a look at some of these questions on the revenue stream. Pardon me for 1 second. So the questions on the revenue stream block, they're asking you, for what value are your customers really willing to pay? So the whole comes back to your value proposition. What problem are you solving? What am I, you know, you must ask yourself for what value each customer segment is willing to pay. Meaning, again, back to like the t-shirts or the sunglasses. We had someone in our class last fall who was, and maybe I've already told this story, but who was selling sunglasses online for a price that she put out there. And I said, well, how much did they cost you to buy the sunglasses so that you could resell them? And she had no idea. So how can you know if you're making any money if you don't know like what your numbers are? And I think Xiomara, maybe you asked the question, can an accountant do this for me? Like an accountant can do things for you, but you really need to know your own numbers first. You need to know them first, and then you can hand it over to people so that you can look at the income statement. This book, I'm just telling you, she defines the income statement in like 7 lines, tells you what every line is for, why you need to have this 45.
My kind of book.
Pardon me?
I said my kind of book. I need it dumbed down.
It's absolutely perfect for all of us that want to better understand what's the income statement? What is the balance sheet? What is it for? So that's enough. I won't keep plugging the book, but I found it so helpful that she also talks about working on a gross margin, you know, like not the bottom line, not your net revenue, your net revenue, like Christy was saying, if you spend $100, but it cost you 60 or whatever, there's still other money in there that you have to, you know, there's other things that you have to pay for, even though it's saying, well, I have $40 left. Like, well, that doesn't necessarily mean you've paid your insurance and other things in there. So anyway, so that's what I'm going to come back to this book over and over again, but right now we'll, not necessarily tonight, but I highly recommend it. And for people that have a service business that go, well, how do I know what my cost is? You know, I'm different because I'm not selling a t-shirt or something like a cake. But you have to know the cost of your time. And if it's imperfect, a lot of times pricing is imperfect, but you need to be able to put some number down that you can tweak. You will learn what your time is worth, and you will come up with a number with what your time is worth. Okay, so the revenue block, the revenue streams block on your business model canvas is on the right-hand side at the bottom. It's the last block on this side of the business model canvas. And you're going to ask yourself tonight, you want to make sure that you have something to write with or type with. For what value are your customers really willing to pay? What are they paying you for? What are they paying you for? So let's just take a minute and jot down a couple sentences about what you feel like your customers are really willing to pay for. Does anyone have any questions yet? Okay. So I invite you to start writing, and then we'll.
Yes, I did, Miss Ann.
Go ahead, Grace.
Yes, what you were speaking about, I wanted to know how something like that work with a nonprofit, like if somebody had a nonprofit.
A lot of times people with nonprofits feel like they don't have the same, like it's the same either way, whether you're for profit or it's a nonprofit. The nonprofit has to make money. It has to be able to support itself, and it has more challenges sometimes in doing that. You still have to know what service are you providing, for whom are you providing it, how much are you charging, where is that revenue stream coming from? Is it a hobby? Is it a ministry? Or is it a business? So nonprofits are a business. They still need to pay their executive directors. They need to buy office supplies. They need to communicate with the people they're serving, or the families they're serving, or the communities they're serving. So try to think of it in this exact same way as we're discussing it now. Like, ask yourself, for what value is someone going to pay your nonprofit? Why is someone going to pay Why is somebody gonna, because your money, that's money has to come from somewhere to support your nonprofit. Does that answer that? And it may not be the people you're serving. It's not going to be the 8 to 35-year-old girls and women, but it's more likely going to be a foundation, perhaps a municipality, you know, that has a service. So there's going to be the people that are where your revenue streams are coming from. We want to ask what that value is. The value is in a safer community, you know, maybe it's community action organization, something like that.
Do you mind if I give an
Thank you.
example, Grace? Grace, this might be helpful. So Ibero is a non-for-profit. Now, Ibero Business Center, which is an affiliate of the league, needs to cover its expenses, right? We have payroll for 4 people. We have advertisement dollars. We have phone lines, internet, laptops. We have rent that we have to cover, right? So as a non-for-profit, we have those overhead costs. So then when we're thinking through, well, what does it mean? Like, what does it mean for us to be able to cover fully what we're doing? We have to break down our services that allow us to do that. So for example, this cohort, just to give you a little bit of insight how this works, we calculated that it costs about $15,000 to run a cohort. Usually in person, virtually there's less costs overall, but usually about 15,000. Think about the manpower that it takes, the technology that we're trying to implement, the consultants we bring in to get going, plus all those teachers that come and teach. You think about the advertisement, the pitch competition dollars, and the expenses continue on and on and on, even the interpretation. So when we have that number down in our head, I am able, even as a non-for-profit, I still have to think, okay, well, that's how much it costs me. Well, who's my customer? Who's going to pay for that? Believe me, you guys, I know that it's hard sometimes to cover the fee that we had asked, but believe us, it's a fraction, because there are our customer that you don't see are the banks that sponsor this. ESL, M&T, Bank of America, that's what we put them in there, because they were the largest customer we've had. From a business perspective, they have a lot of deliverables that they want to see after this. So for us, when we're thinking about who the customer is, who's the customer that's willing to pay, yes, it's you guys, right? As a non-for-profit, we may have some fee for services, but in our case, we're thinking, after we're done with this cohort, M&T Bank, Bank of America, ESL are all going to want to interview us. They're all going to want to see all of these results. They're going to see it because they are the customer. They're the ones who are willing to pay for each of these cohorts. Does that help bring a little, show how a not-for-profit still plays by the exact same rules?
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you, Augustine.
It sounds silly, but does Ibero have an accountant, or does somebody there do that?
No, we have an accounts payable rep, we have an accounts receivable, we have a finance coordinator. We usually have a financial manager, like a CFO, but we're actually going to hire 2 controllers. So really, by the time we're all done with this, plus all the consultants, our internal team by the end of the new fiscal year will be somewhere around 5 people.
But when it first started, before it was obviously as big as it was, is that something new? Like, so for instance, we're all starting companies. Would you say that you would probably get that later down the road, and like it started by doing its own?
Right. So let's say back in the history of 1968, when it all got started, it was actually a board member who did the books. Right. So it was, thankfully, as a non-for-profit, Ibero was able to pool those kind of human capital resources to help cover those, into eventually its own financial department got formed. From a business perspective, let's say a launching one. So my wife, she launched her own business, and we've helped hundreds of businesses get launched. So in every case, you're not going to necessarily internally bring an accountant into your team. Most likely you're going to hire out. So as a small business, you're going to want to do everything you can to do as much as you can before you reach the wall and say, okay, I no longer feel comfortable going on to this point. Now I hire out. Now I create that team that's around me that's I'm going to be able to delegate that to. So
And that's a really good point, Augustine. And Diamaro, like, just we're not talking about hiring somebody to be part of your business. Like, it's somebody that you would have a conversation with maybe a few times a year, you know, like maybe you have a question about your business, and it's perfectly okay to ask the accountant, you know, what are your rates? How much do you charge per hour? If I ask you a question, if I just want to call and talk to you for 5 minutes, what will that cost me? If I forget to ask you a question and I call you back, how much is that going to cost? You know, so you want to just make sure to, similarly for an attorney, you're not hiring an attorney to follow you around. You're going to ask maybe once a year, maybe once every couple of years. You know, you may not need an attorney, you know, for a lot of things, but occasionally for a business question, maybe you need someone to look over a contract. You know, like there's going to be these very blunt questions that you can ask them about their service. What's their time? How much time? Are you buying a block of time? You know, do I spend $250 and I can call you 10 times in the next, you know, year or something like that? So there's, don't feel overwhelmed by this. Oh, I must hire a tax attorney, a tax accountant.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was like, how long would it take me to kind of learn all this, or is it better resources put in, you know?
I think it's a conversation with, you know, starting out with this class, we'll make recommendations to see who might be, you know, maybe there's a SCORE mentor. That SCORE, for anyone that's not familiar with SCORE, I know that I think we have a Irvin Starr as a SCORE mentor, as well as a mentor to our team here, but people with a particular skill volunteer their time to assist people that are just starting out. And there's always good ways to get a referral for an accountant that works with small businesses. And that's really what you want.
Good to know.
Can I just add something to that? I know Lauren and I, with Charlie's Canine Camp, we're a lot further along. And just in my experience with stuff that we've read, or SCORE mentors or Ibero mentors, it's really important to find your, you know, your team that's going to back you. And we interviewed a few lawyers because we knew that we wanted somebody else to form our LLC. Ask those questions, find out how much it's going to cost, saved for it, found the right fit lawyer for us. Then we, you know, talked to a couple of accountants and asked about their fees. And, you know, it's kind of like an interview process, and you figure out what makes your niche and that has your back. The same with our architect. We needed an architect, so we had met with a few architects, and you talk to people in the field and get some networking that, oh, I know this person, and so we'd meet with that person. And it's, you know, in the beginning, it's not so much that we're hiring, but you just figure out who your team is, so that when it is time to reach out, you've got that piece already done. And that's been a huge help.
That makes a lot of sense.
That's spot on, Amy.
That's great, Amy. Yeah.
Yeah, very overwhelming. As we've read a ton of books and researched, and I mean, Lauren and I started this whole process about 7 years ago. It's not that it's taken us that long. It's just my position with my current job. I can't really leave until 24, so we've based it all on opening in 2024. So we've had a lot of time to do a lot of research. But yeah, it's not that you need to pay all this money out of pocket right away. It's just do some interviewing and talk to people and talk about your adventure that you want to come true. And it'll all come back to you. People will just start talking, and the more you're excited about it, the more they are excited to help you, and you find your team that will help you. We definitely appreciate ours.
That's great, Amy. Thank you. So we're going to get back to doing a little bit of writing right now before the evening catches up with us. So let's ask, we'll pause for a moment and ask yourself the question: for what value are our customers willing to pay? What are we doing that our customers are willing to pay us for? Let's take at least 2 minutes so everybody has a chance to write something down. If you already have written something down, all the questions are on there, but we don't necessarily have to go through every one of them. We have some 3 key ones that we want to cover tonight. So I think that's probably like one of the most important questions, is for what value are our customers really willing to pay? Part of the revenue streams block asks you to think about what are they, this is like if you're already in business, for what do they currently pay? Like, what are they currently paying you for, and how are they paying you? But I feel like let's just jump right to the next one, which is, how would they prefer to pay you? So, for example, I have a water bill that I still have to write a check for, which means somehow I have to figure out how to get more checks, because it seems old-fashioned to still write a check, but so 4 times a year I write in my in my checkbook, you know, that I've paid a bill to the water department, and sometimes it's the only other check I've written all year, except for this year I wrote one to New York State that they forgot to, that they lost, and then it was from a conference that we went to. My colleague Tanya on the call knows this, but so checks are kind of funny, but how would your customers prefer to pay? And I think there's so many options now, you know. I don't know if anybody that's already taking money, how you're taking it, but you know, is it online, or Amy, have you and Lauren discussed how you plan to take payments?
I know that we are in the process of finding a software program, and part of that is utilizing a credit card availability. But I know currently most of our customers are cash or check right now.
So that is very surprising for me to hear. I went to a restaurant a couple weeks ago, and it was a breakfast place, and it was cash only, and they had an ATM on site.
Yep.
But if you want to eat, you have to use their ATM. I mean, we knew ahead of time, but it was kind of a interesting. I'm surprised to hear that right now that that's what most of your customers are.
Yeah, I'm not sure when we go to open on a bigger scale with lots more services and income coming in. I know too, Venmo is kind of the way to go, but I know there's a difference between personal Venmo and business Venmo. I have not done any research on what their charges are versus a credit card yet.
Yeah,
I'm sure that will be down the pipeline.
And those are things that you want to shop for. Venmo, Cash App, even the PayPals of the world, especially when you mentioned that it's a business and all of them now legally. But when you start having transactions above $400, they're gonna send you a 1099 each year, right? So they're gonna hold you accountable to making sure that you're paying your dues for your sales through those particular apps. Juan made a comment saying that you might be saving money by doing checks, but you might be missing out on sales as a result of that. One recommendation that we usually suggest is that consider the cost of your merchant service as part of your cost of goods sold, because part of being able to sell that food,
good
that
idea.
dirt, that service, part of it involves the transaction fee that it takes for you to swipe the card. So you just include that as part of the cost of goods sold on your goods. So you would essentially lift it up a little bit.
Can I add something to that? Come on.
Sure.
So I think so. I checked for the law in New York State specifically. In New York State, I think there is actually a law that says something about whether or not the vendor can actually charge for the client for the processing fee. And I do believe, like, if you try and do it in your books and show that, I believe it actually is illegal to do that for the vendor to do that. Because say there's a processing fee to process the card, or if you try and stick that for the client, I don't think you're actually allowed to do that. That you'll as the vendor need to pay that yourself.
Yeah. So all I'm suggesting is that when you calculate the cost of goods sold, which means all the expenses that it takes to get that shirt out there, you just automatically anticipate that cost, just like you would anticipate the shipping or the printing or the ink, right? So thinking of that shirt example that Christy was using, the cost of goods sold, you just add that there. That's all background paperwork that you're doing or calculations just to help you eventually price your good. It's not something that you directly transfer over to the customer or anything like that. The customer really sees any of this stuff.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so we want to make sure that you've answered so far 2 questions. For what value are your customers really willing to pay? 2, how would they prefer to pay? And then what you want to ask is, how much does each revenue stream contribute to your overall income, your overall revenues? So how much, and because you're probably going to have multiple revenue streams. You're going to have money from, let's stick with Charlie's Canine Camp for now. You're going to have money from boarding. You'll have money for grooming. You'll have money for training classes. These are each revenue stream is going to have a different cost of goods sold to it. So you need to kind of like, which one is contributing, you know, how much are each of those revenue streams contributing to the overall revenue? So I met this woman, she has a salon in Rochester, and she was saying she's probably now open a year, but she was saying that she was also selling, she sells some very high-end hairstyling activity. You know, she does complicated hair things. So that she could do, you know, it costs a lot of money. People are there for a few hours. It takes a lot of time and it costs a lot of money. But she said she also sells these, she sells some makeup products, and this particular lip balm, lipstick, that was just flying out the door. She was making a lot of money on this product. And she was also doing, you know, daily activities with hair. Like she just had this, she thought that she was making the most money on this one high-end, takes a lot of time, but it costs a lot of money activity. When she realized, when she asked the question, how much does each revenue stream contribute, like what, of all the things I'm selling, the lipstick, you know, contributes 100, you know, 90%, the hairstyling contributes 10%. No, that's an extreme example, but just to get a sense of it, she started to question whether she should be doing this one high-end activity, you know, because it was taking up so much of her time when she could be doing other things. So some of these questions are really just make you think about, of all the things that you may be selling, try to ask yourself individually, how are they contributing to the revenue stream? So try to take a couple minutes and maybe even just give yourself bullet points of what your revenue streams are, 2, 3, 5, and what percentage would they be contributing to the overall part of your business?
And just to jump in, we will dedicate 3 days near the end of the 6-week portion of the cohort, right before we jump into the pitch competition, to talk just about this. So we will dedicate a lot more time with mentors to allow us to be able to come up with these projections, especially for those who haven't yet created projections.
Does anyone have any questions? One thing that we didn't mention are just like the different types of sales that you can make and the ways that you can set up your business to be paid. So it could be something like a subscription, like Netflix. I think I pay $10 a month or something like that. It could be if I listen to a particular radio station, they used to do NPR. So they used to do like their periodic fundraisers, and then they made it an option where you could just be what they call a sustainer. You never have to call them again. You automatically give them a monthly amount. They take it out. They know what to expect. You don't have to be bothered with anything. There are some people that offer, well, there's a direct sale, but some services, and even, you might want to start thinking about this as like to have a menu of services so people can pick. Like even Juan, with your photography, maybe I want quarterly, changes to something, or you offer a package that says, hey, you can choose for this price, you can get this, 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 and this, or, and that will work with any of these services that all of you are selling right now, products or services. Imagine if you were going to go to a restaurant and you were looking at a menu. Think of your own business and what would the price menu look like? Like, what are my options for how can I buy from this company? You can be creative about things as to what you, and even Grace, I'm thinking from the nonprofit point of view, what are the options for people that want to contribute, to building this business? They may, for a certain amount, do they want their name to be associated with your organization? And if so, is there an opportunity for them to have their logo somewhere on, in an event program, or, we support the work of, the Grace Ridley nonprofit. So there's different ways of thinking about what you're pricing and what you're going to be offering. Does anyone want to contribute this evening? Does anyone want to share what they've put down for what their value, what value they feel like their customers are really willing to pay?
I could read mine.
Go for it, Matt.
I wrote atmosphere, quality of the food and drink, and entertainment.
Nice.
Is that kind of what?
Yeah. And then how do you think that they would prefer to pay?
I said cash, card, or DoorDash.
Oh, so there you go. And when you look at since you're being so helpful, when you look at each revenue stream, so between you said they're coming for the atmosphere and they're willing to pay for that, but there's food and entertainment. Like when you start thinking about the food, well, I guess, would you be charging for the entertainment, or is that, would that be something they pay when they come in, like at the door, or is that just going to be part of what you offer?
At nighttime, well, I'm kind of doing like two separate businesses, a daytime and a nighttime So at nighttime, there'll be events where there will be a charge at the door. You know, we might do like like hire a DJ for the night, or something like that, or have I was thinking we could do drag shows and stuff like that, where there would be a fee at the door. But in the daytime, it's just a regular coffee shop, so you could just come in and hang
So,
out.
so just a little point on this. And for anybody, when you think back on branding, like when Suzanne Rodriguez was here talking about branding, like your business, running two separate businesses, think about the way those brands are going to come together, because it's really going to be one. Is it going to be that there's two different things maybe going on in the morning and the evening, but at some point it's going to be, it's the same location coming in and out of. This is what the brand is going to, they say it will build itself if you don't build it clearly, like it'll start defining itself and other people will define you for you. Just as a little aside. Yeah.
That's a good point. Thank you.
I know it's getting late, but does anyone else want to, let's see, Maurice Lee, the paper bell system and also Squarespace is great to build your website, marketing, and et cetera for scheduling as well. That's great that you're using that. I've seen a lot of people using that.
I know with Charlie's Canine Camp, a lot of our clients are going to be paying for the trust and security is what they're paying for. They're leaving their prized possessions with us. So that's the number one reason that they're paying the price that we're asking.
As someone who comes from a family that has a lot of dogs, I don't have a dog personally. I have other animals of a different persuasion in the home, but I agree with you about that. Like where they take their dogs it's top dollar. It's whatever, it has to be the absolute best. I think trust was the most important thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even if your facility is a few years old and might need some new paint here or there and doesn't always, look like it's brand new, to be able to trust the person and whom you're leaving your dog with is what you're paying for.
Yeah. Before we go for the night, does anyone want to share anything else or have any questions, comments?
I can share.
Thanks, Kimberly. Go right ahead.
Okay, so with my reliable the CNA/home care services, so I'm ensuring that the clients that I am affordable, it's safe. I come with experience. I come from needing home care and then also providing home care to disabled adults or elderly population. So I want to do it in like 2 hours, 4 hours, and 6 hour increments. So I want to provide cooking services, laundry, personal care, respite, companionship, light housekeeping, and errands. So I would like any customers like church members, people who like work during the week and they need services for their loved ones, even offering like services on the weekend, all kind of hours. They could pay online, cash, private pay, or Cash App. Let's see what else I have. I wrote down.
That's really, while you look for that description of what the services you're offering is a really great place to start for when you're putting together what those packages are going to be. If you need somebody 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, if you need these services or those services or only one or, pick your top 3 services or something like that. Yeah, it's great.
Mhm. So most of the people that are in their homes are Medicaid. And then when you're doing like services through a company, sometimes they don't have someone to come out to your house at certain hours, and then they don't have reliable people. So I'm trying to fit the needs of the client. And then if you're like a working person and you need somebody to take care of your loved ones, you would
Yeah.
like call me up. So I would put like flyers up in the churches and like laundromats, because that's what I'm doing. When I'm looking for things, I'll go to like the laundromat bulletin board, the church
Yeah.
bulletin board, or like Craigslist or something like that when I'm looking for certain services.
I think that's great. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that, Kimberly. And I do see, in light of the time, that we've reached the end of this evening, but we want to continue to have these open discussions about everything. And even after we get through all of the building blocks, we want to spend some time and make sure everyone feels comfortable with what they've written down, or if you have questions or you need help getting things done, we're going to have some time for that moving forward. Does anyone have, well, I'll say good night for now, and that we'll see you Tuesday. Christy will be back with us Tuesday to continue reviewing. I highly recommend Accounting for the Number Phobic, and have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thanks for your participation tonight.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Have a good
Buenas
night.
noches a todos.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.